Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Anna, and today I want to tell you some stories about things I may have done when I was a kid that kind of involved lying, like a lot. Without any further ado, let's get into the first story. The first thing I want to tell you about is the time my brother called the cops. When we were little, we went to our grandparents' house a lot. We loved it there. They watched us every once in a while. We visited, I want to say, at least once every week for a long time. Maybe just every other week. But we saw them quite often. Their house was huge. And when I say huge, I mean it was grand. You walk in, there's a big open foyer area. There's a huge column of stairs that branched off into two other huge columns of stairs, and there were two sides. There were 4 rooms in total, including the master, and then there was a living space and a TV space and a dining space and another sitting area, and as well as the kitchen, the office, and some other little areas. In their house, they had kind of a phone line system of wireless phones that were landlines, but they were interconnected, so you could call out, but you could also call the other phones in the house. Call phone 4. And you can say, hey, little bro, can you bring me some crackers? I'm not feeling well, or, you know, you get the idea. So, these phones, my little brother and I loved to play with these phones, and sometimes we didn't quite understand the ramifications of randomly pressing numbers. But when it came right down to it, apparently I was the dumber one, because while we were playing with these phones, I thought it would be funny to dial 911. I don't think I understood how 911 worked back then, and I thought if you called and hung up before somebody answered, that nothing would happen, or something along those lines. I don't quite remember, but I do know that I called the cops on their landline. And, of course, they showed up. So, we all had to go down, all 3 of us, my older brother, myself, and my younger brother, and we stood on the front stair with our grandparents standing to the side. My grandpa, mind you, was very upset about this, and my grandma wasn't very happy either. But the cops were standing there, and I want to say there was 2 of them, and they were in there, standing there looking at us, and they were telling us this big spiel. Obviously true and very important to know as a child and as an adult or anybody in this world, that when you call 911 as a joke or playfully or unknowingly, that call has to be taken seriously, especially if no one's saying anything, and so they're going to have to show up, and other calls that might be a little more, you know, urgent and important, they can't get to. And something bad might happen to someone else. So, when they were finished with that very important lecture, they asked who did it. And of course it wasn't my older brother. He didn't have anything to do with this. It was just myself and my younger brother playing with the phones. I knew I did it, and my little brother knew I did it, but I wasn't going to fess up because I was, you know, the angel child. I still am to this day, the angel child. And the truth was, I never was an angel child. And my little brother decided, as he always did, and I'll tell some more shorter stories kind of involving this trait of his, he stood up and stood forward and he confessed that he did it. And I was the best older sister in the world, and I let him take the fall for me on calling the cops. So they, you know, knelt down and had a talk with him, and of course he was only about 5 years old, so he didn't get in as much trouble as, say, I would. I was 8 years old. I should have known better. I did know better, but apparently I didn't. To this day, it's a funny story, but I do feel kind of bad that I let him take the fall for me on something that serious. If it had been something like who ate the last candy bar, that's a little bit of a different story. A little story kind of connecting to that whole lying thing is when my dad used to line all 3 of us up when something was wrong, when something wasn't done right, or something bad was done, or there was something wrong with something, or someone didn't flush the toilet, which we never found out who that actually ever really was, but I think know, the toilet may have backed up, and so he thought nobody flushed, but it was really just backed up. Anyway, he'd line us up and ask us, you know, who did this? I want to know who did this. Don't lie. I'll know if you're lying. My little brother always was the one to step forward and say it was me. Oh, time after time, you know, it was me. And after so long of it was me, my parents kind of caught on, and eventually I remember one specific moment in time when my little brother stood forward and said, I did it. And my dad looked at him, dead serious, with his head cocked, and said, Sean, you didn't do it. You didn't do it. Be quiet. You know it wasn't you. Who really did it? I want to know who did it. And at that point in time, me and my brother knew, oh shit, we're screwed, because Dad found out that it wasn't really Sean all those times, all 50,000 of them between his short, you know, 2 to 3 years of being able to actually speak full sentences and get in trouble for things. So that's another little funny story about our lying habits and my little brother's not so negative lying habit, but not necessarily the best for him. Another thing, when I was younger, I had like my best friend of all time, but she was my first best friend, and I was in about 3rd grade when I met her. And to me, I thought I had nothing special going on with me. I was kind of just a boring kid. Nobody liked me. I thought I was ugly. I thought I was, you know, the worst kid there was, and nobody cared, and I was never going to have friends, and I was very quiet and withdrawn and laid back, and I just wasn't very center of attention kind of person. So there was a few lies that I told my best friend when I was younger. Of course, you know, we were kids, so they weren't like huge lies, like something life-changing. But after I first met her, one lie that I told her to impress her and be like, you should totally be my friend because I'm so cool, was that I was walking down the sidewalk in my old neighborhood and I came across a bobcat. And a bobcat attacked me. But I fought it off, and I won, and I lived, and I don't know if she actually believed me, but that was a stupid fucking lie that I told as a child. Who's gonna believe that you were attacked by a bobcat when you were like 7 years old? That doesn't happen, especially in like just a little town where there's no bobcats in that general vicinity. So that was a dumb lie, but it was a lie. Another lie I would tell her was, I can see Pokemon. Can you blame me? It'd be pretty cool if you could see Pokemon. And I tried to convince her. I don't know if I literally convinced her. I think she just knew I was retarded and just played dumb because she's smarter than me. But I tried to convince her that Pokemon was a real world. Like, there were really Pokemon, like, but you can't see them unless you're special. When I had those special eyes, I told her, you know, I can see Pokemon, and I'd point out Pokemon and stuff, and I'm pretty sure she didn't believe me, but she played along. She was a good sport. And another story that I'd like to share with you, and it's kind of messed up. I was young. I don't remember how old I was at this time. I definitely should have known better than to do what I did. But we were in Yellowstone, or, you know, yeah, West Yellowstone. We were at these shops. We used to go up to the cabin with my grandparents and my mom and dad and my brothers and the dogs. But we'd always go into West Yellowstone and go to these shops. Now, we couldn't, like, buy anything in these shops, but I always loved rocks. I loved polished rocks when I was a little kid. And they had a huge section of polished rocks, all these colors and sheens and sizes and shapes, and it was so cool. And I thought it was amazing, and they had these little velvet baggies that you could put the rocks in. And it was the best thing ever. To little me, you know, I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, and so this was amazing and exciting for me. I couldn't have any. So, what did I do? I decided the best idea would be to sneak one and slip it in my pocket. You know, when we got back to the cabin, my brothers and I slept up with my grandparents on these cots. If you don't know what a cot is, look it up. They're just like little thin canvasy things that you use as a bed when you're like camping or something. Anyway, we were sleeping on these cots, and I slipped the rock under my pillow without even thinking about how my grandma changes the sheets and things every day. and she was changing the sheets and the pillowcases and stuff, and she found the rock. And she sat down and she talked to me, and she says, "Anna, where did you get this?" I was like, "The driveway." Keep in mind, this was the middle of fucking nowhere in Idaho. The driveway was a gravel section with some patchy, grassy areas and sticks. The rocks in that driveway weren't polished. I think the most polished rock you get are those little black ones that are probably just broken asphalt that brought in from the fucking street, right? She knew it wasn't from the driveway. But she said, "No, you didn't. Did you steal this from the store?" Something along those lines. And I said, "Yeah, you can't keep things from Grandma, you know." And Grandma's on my side, so I was like, you know what? I can trust Grandma. She's pretty cool. So she said, "Okay, let's never do this again, and it's a lesson," and yada yada, all those, you know, good grandmotherly things to say. And I was like, all right. And we were out to eat, and she was sitting across from me, and I don't know what they were talking about at the table, if it had any relevance to what had happened or what, but she looks at me and she winks at me, kind of like our little secret, I'm not going to tell anyone. And I was just like, I was so afraid that my dad was going to find out and get so angry at me and yell at me. And that's one thing about me. When I was a little kid, the worst thing that could happen to poor little Anna was, oh, God forbid someone is disappointed in you. Disappointment to me was like the end of the world. You can be angry at me, you can yell at me, but when you're disappointed in me and you say, "I'm disappointed in you," or "This disappoints me," or "How could you do that?" and I feel like you're disappointed in me, it's the worst thing. It still is. I hate when people are disappointed in me. That was another fun story I thought I'd share with you guys today. And if you'd like to hear any more stories about when I was a child, feel free to leave some comments in the comment section below. And don't forget to like and share this video. Subscribe if you want to see any more of my videos. If you haven't seen any of my videos yet, then I encourage you to check out my puppy's first birthday video, because I think it's adorable and my puppy deserves attention. So go check that out. I don't care if you check out my other ones or not, but that one you should probably check out. It's pretty freaking cool. I hope you all enjoyed this video as much as possible and I didn't, you know, drive you too much up the wall. And I will see you next time. Bye, guys.